everybody, what's up? Bodacious11, Bo the Potato here, jumping in for another little segment of the Sifu story. This is Sean and the Club. So let's dive in. As usual, I want to give the disclaimer that there are going to be all sorts of spoiler type discussions in this video. I'm going to aim for about 10 minutes or so as well and talk about everything I've been able to figure out as far as the story goes with Sean. I figure I might as well dive into the club and once again test my ability to play the game while I'm talking. The club's a beautiful level. I gotta update, check the new stats, but I know not a lot of people have gotten, or not everyone has gotten through half or 40% or so. But that's not why we're here. So let's bring the first one up here. So I have showed this in the past, and actually not this piece here. Alright, we'll take that away, and let's do like we did before, find ourselves a good wall to
Forget about it.
use
If
for
you're not on the
our
list,
educational
you're not getting
purposes.
inside.
This one should be great. Perfect. Oh, that's also for later. Get a little preview there. So this is the first one that I wanted to look at here. Is this chart. So what we're looking at is mapping summary table, if you will, that I built for the different bosses that we face in the game. Sean, being the second one there, his element is fire. I actually need to update this because I've heard the metal one can be interpreted as gold for Jin Feng. But nonetheless, Sean pretty clearly seems to represent fire. The animal behind that fighting style being the tiger. The value, deference. Um, Sean's like power, as far as what we see in the game, like when we're at his little cutscene, and I'll see if I can splice an image of that one in here. Sean is here.
Sifu,
Boy, I'm a terrible streamer, but this game is super, super fun.
my arms are yours. Leave. I recognize that uniform. It represents a school for the weak and feeble.
How many stages does Sean have? Woo! Alright, the whole mother effing down. So we see like Sean has like a little bit of fire control, or at least can change the area around him, kind of like Kuroki does, Fajar similarly. So yeah, I don't know how much that really ties into his character. As far as the Guardians go, we are certain that Sean's father was one of the Guardians. And the reason we know this is because later on we'll actually see in the tower that the Guardians board, there's a board hidden in that tower where it shows the different Guardians. And if you'll notice over there on the right, this, I don't know how well I can show it to you here on my screen, but that rightmost person there is Sean's father. And in fact, if I take this board down, and those are the people that were all killed, those are the, I think those would be the 4 Sifu masters that were killed on the day that your father was executed. Now I saved the the large version of this image because I figured I'd want to blow it up to try to show you here. But if we look closely at those 4 Kung Fu masters, like these people, I'm pretty certain that rightmost one, actually, undoubtedly, if I hide this guy, let's look at our board. So undoubtedly, right here, that's Sean's father. Um, if you remember now, old box at Sean's father's school, portrait of an elder inside. Be a teacher for a day, be a father for life. So we know Sean's father was one of the prior guardians. And, Sorry, not trying to give you motion sickness. So when we look at this board, Sean's father is this guy on the right. The next one, I do believe, is kind of the character I'm calling our Sifu dad, unless of course he lost all his hair by this next character with the beard. I don't know who that character with the beard is, and that's some of what I'm trying to figure out. And then this leftmost guy, I also don't know who he is, and I'm going to continue to try to dive in and see if we can't figure that out. And if you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, he kind of vaguely reminds me of Boomy, but I know that that is absolutely not the character nor who I should be thinking of it as. But anyway, so back on to Sean. Um, so Sean, what I think is going down is that he, the night of your father's death, or the main character's father's death, we also killed Sean's father. Sean was a part of that as well. He was part of the Alchemists, or the New Dawn, in support of Yang. And we know that Sean kills his father and uses the new school to kind of train these gangsters that I think maybe Fajar is like bringing in, whether as gangsters or people that he kind of like gets hooked and drug into their crew, if you will, with the purple flower, the purple mist that they're making. So more to come on that table as we dive into Kuroki and the others in my future videos here. But let's take this one down and look at the kind of facts that I have summarized so far for Sean. Excuse me. And again, some of this is going to be a little bit of a repeat, but this is what I know in trying to figure out the backstory of how the alchemists took over the Guardians and why they might have done so. Um, Sean, the fighter that we know of, symbols fire. I do believe it really is fire, as I said earlier. He kind of teaches you to take advantage of your enemy's aggression. Again, lesson for the character, not so much important to the story, unless, or outside of the fact that like aggression and that maybe anger is a big part of his character. He also kind of taught me to manage my defenses a little better. So he is kind of a former, I don't know, pupil or let's see if I can't get that board a little better oriented here. He's a former pupil of our Sifu dad, and we know he's really obsessed with strength. That's like kind of the stuff that's all on his walls. If we go back talking detective board kind of stuff as well, um, all of the writings on the walls that we got pictures of here, I think. Found several sentences on the walls. Brainwashing his disciples with morbid obsession with strength. Nature will eliminate those who do not look out for themselves, to face death with equanimity, and furious fire burn were some of his values. So yeah, very much fire and anger related. So Sean kills his own dad, starts his own school, and he puts his disciples through these three trials. He puts them through a lot of work apparently, like it's almost a cult. They have to go through agility, dexterity, and endurance. Um, I also thought it was really interesting that that computer guy at the club, after you've talked to him once, then gone through Jin Feng's place, and then come back, as long as you looked at her computer, you'll be able to get his USB drive to hack her computer and get into the safe. And he seems more than happy to risk everything, his whole life essentially, to help you take down Jin Feng and the Alchemist. So I think that's actually kind of an interesting element of the story. He works there, but knows what he's risking, but wants to help you. And I don't know if he knows that you are, that you have the talisman and the ability or the power of your family that you do have. Um, let's see. So also that Sean has been burned, like from the opening scene to where we are now, it seems like Sean has been burnt worse. I don't know if that's some sort of like analogy or representation of how he's been more consumed by rage since he first took over or killed his father. But I think that's, I don't know, maybe a sign of his growing scarring or damage internally. Again, as I mentioned, anger, pride, jealousy. It seems like he also makes a comment early on, and I can see if I can cut it in there too. Maybe it's not worth it. About how like he thought everyone at the school was going to be stronger when he raided your family. So I thought that was quite interesting. Uh, Next, we've got the disciples like arm burning. So where that happens, we see Sean like grab the disciples' arms, like you're like your arms are now mine or whatever, and as he gives the Sifu gives his arms up, or my arms are yours, Sifu, and then he burns them with his hands. That's kind of another part of his maybe ability. Um, Sean instantly recognizes the uniform for your dad's school, so he like kind of, he remembers that he was a student of your dad's as well. But I just can't figure out like why he would have killed his dad, taken that spot. Essentially, like I mentioned, I think Sean is the new alchemist or new dawn, excuse me, kind of representation of the group, replacing his father. But I just don't know why they have done so. Um, so I'll cut back again and show that board. We got to figure out who these people are that they took down, why they did so, and what I realize is that if we look at this board too, here we have the four people, all with the X who died, Sean's father, Dad Sifu, and two that we don't know. Um, we pop that back up. So I thought it was Jin Feng, but that tells me it wasn't Jin Feng. It was somebody that she took over, that is on this wall. Uh, and so I can't tell. I don't know those symbols well enough. So if you guys can help me out here, that would be awesome. I would love to. Maybe it's a correlation on the board. Let's see if we can't match the symbols. Let me see if I saved these. See in some of my extras here. I thought I had one more picture we could pull in. Oh no, it's just on the board. Okay, hold on. Character board. Do these symbols match? Ren, Yi. So I don't think there's a match here as we're looking at the board. Um, but that's what I'm trying to figure out is who was which one of the Guardians and the Alchemists. We know Sean's father and Sean. We know Sifu dad and Yang. Um, and I don't know what role the talisman played because when Sifu dad's life was taken, did he just not have the talisman in his hand? Had he already passed that on to me because he was in his 70s? Um, Still questions that I don't quite have an answer for. Let's check one other thing on the board here, because I think this is a important piece of the story as well. This comes from, I'll cover this more in depth in Jin Feng's piece, but she says, a vow that swears to protect the talismans. It's signed by a group called the Guardians. It looks ancient. My father, Sean's father, and Jin Feng's names are on it. So Jin Feng's name being on it tells me that she once was one of the Guardians. And here we know that, and because of what was said here, we know that uh, the four Guardians were killed. Here we go. Oh, maybe it's on Jin Feng's. Here we go. 5 Kung Fu schools destroyed 8 years ago. The 4 masters killed. They were called the Guardians. Jin Feng betrayed them. She planned it right here with Yang and the others. So we know that Jin Feng planned it with Yang, Kuroki, Shan, Fajar, but we don't know who those 4 Kung Fu masters are. What I presume is that Jin Feng retained her position, and when this massacre took place of these 4 masters, she was conveniently not around. So we have Sifu Dad, we have Sean's father, and the 2 others that we have to figure out. So that's kind of where I am on this one. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this video because we're getting into... Oh wait, no, that's a lie. I'm not going to do that yet. We're going to touch on Sean's board items before I go. And I'm sorry I didn't really spend a whole lot of time in the level here. I'll try to cut in those couple of cutscenes as well so we can get a little more on Sean's story. We know Sean hung around us when we were a kid. Uh, in this picture, I think, let's see, that's Yang. I don't know if we would have seen Sean in that one. Sean's got his very technical background. He has fast opponents. This is where we meet the Kit Girls. We've got more people in the club. What else do we find out? Owner is a good friend of Sean, so Sean doesn't necessarily own the club himself. Sounds like Sean was a little bit of a lazy student. value target. This is that computer guy up top. The three trials: agility, dexterity, endurance. I know I'm just kind of repeating some things that we looked at earlier. Sean's father. Key card for the burning. Trial stuff. That is the USB drive and the keys that you get. Yeah, there's not a whole lot on Sean's board. This is the little old box that was kept at Sean's father's school, so it's still kind of kept there. Sean has hung on to that, so I guess that shows some degree of, attachment or Sean caring or wanting something of significance relating to his father. But that's really all we see. So there we are. Story of Sifu, the storyline behind Sifu and Sean's kind of role. I'll do the next one on Kuroki and everything I've kind of been able to figure out and what I think about her. And before I cut out of here, let me just double check one more time that I have not missed any points on this. Yeah, no, I think that has it covered. So again, Bo the Potato, Bodacious11, thank you guys so much for popping into the video, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Like and comment would be appreciated. Would love to help have you tear apart this story with me. Thanks again.